Okay, so the last two examples in our notes continue on with the concept of evaluating expressions. So this next part talks about when two or more variables or a number and variables are written together, we treat them as if they are in parentheses. So when we talk about 4xy, that means 4 times x times y. We can put that in parentheses, okay? Same with xy squared, okay? Now, right here, just want to make sure that we're understanding that the distinction I want to make is that these are not necessarily equal to each other, okay? This is x times y squared, this is x times y, and that whole thing is being squared. So I would evaluate that as x times y, find that result, and then square it, okay? That's an important thing right there. These are different expressions, right? So we evaluate an expression by replacing the variable with a given number. And then it's just like we did before. So here, I'm giving you two variables, the values of two variables. We are going to substitute them in, replace them, and then evaluate them. So, part A in problem 3 here. We know that x is 5, y is 2. The way I'd rewrite this is 5 squared plus 5 minus 12 divided by, I'm going to put it in parentheses, 2 squared, okay? So, simplifying that. To help you guys kind of do this a little more efficiently, you look for parentheses, nothing to simplify inside of parentheses, so I would look at doing the powers, evaluating the powers or the exponents. I've got two of those, 5 squared and 2 squared. So I'm going to rewrite this as 25 minus 5, or plus 5, sorry, minus 12 divided by 2 squared is 4. And then I continue on with my order of operations. I've got plus, minus, so adding, subtracting, dividing. I'm going to take care of the division. Next, 25 plus 5 minus 3. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So, simplifying that out, I can do this with mental math, I think. 25 plus 5 is 30. 30 minus 3, 27. That is simplified. That is the value of the expression for those two given variables. Okay, next, we have x times y, that whole quantity squared, divided by x times y. So I'm going to rewrite this as, 5 times 2, that all being squared, divided by 5 times 2. So, order of operations, I'm going to take care of everything that's inside parentheses first. I've got two things inside of parentheses I can take care of. 5 times 2 becomes, this is 10 squared divided by 10. I simplify that further, take care of my exponent. 10 squared is 100. 100 divided by 10, it's just 10. That looks like a 16. Let's fix that. 10, a little bit better. So simplifying. So substitute and simplify. Replace the known value for the variable. So that's what we're going to do in the got it questions here, got it number 3. So, good chance for you to pause the video, work through them, and then check in with the answers I provide and explain in a second here. All right, so going over the got it questions or problems. 3b minus a squared. It's being careful here to know that b is 4, a is 3. So I substitute, I replace b with 4, I replace a with 3. And you can see I took care of the exponent first. 3 squared is 9. Then I took care of the multiplication to get 12. 12 minus 9 is 3. Part B, b is still 4, a is still 3. 2 times 4 squared minus 7 times 3. So I did 4 squared is 16, and then I did my multiplication. 2 times 16, 7 times 3. And then I finally subtracted them to get 12. So just remembering, we replace So just remembering 3b is 3 times b. That's why I can do 3 times 4. This is 2 times 4 squared in the second example here. Okay, so making sure that we understand the multiplication aspect of that. Last problem, problem 4. Evaluating a real world expression. So this is a good one for saving, if you want to save a certain fraction of your money that you earn. So what is an expression for the spending money you have left after depositing 2/5 of your wages in savings? And we're going to evaluate that for different wages that we earn, okay? So what that means is we are depositing 2/5 of our wages. So that means I'm going to find 2/5 of what I make, and I'm going to subtract that from what I make. So I'm going to take my wages and I'm reducing them by my wages times 2/5. Okay, I'm taking out 2/5 of my wages. Now, if fractions are not really your thing and you want to work with something a little bit more concrete or as like a percentage, you could say 2/5 is 0.4. So you're essentially depositing 40% of your wages into your savings. So I would do 40 minus 40 times 0.4. So I am depositing that money, and I want to know how much money I have left over for spending, okay? So 40 minus the amount I set aside for saving, I have, in that case, $24 left, okay? Same thing for $50. 40 minus 40 times 0.4. So sorry about that, I screwed up. That should be 50. What am I doing? Okay, 50 minus 50 times 0.4, okay? So 50 minus 50 times 0.4. In this case, I would have $30 of spending money, okay? So I'm taking out 40%, so a little less than half of my earnings, and then I'm seeing what I have left. Same thing for 75, same pattern. I'm taking out that same fraction of my savings. 75 minus 75 times 0.4. I'm left with $45 of spending money, okay? And then the last one, $100 minus 100 times 0.4. So 100 minus 100 times 0.4. I'm left with $60 in spending money. So the way I thought of that problem is I thought of take my wages, what I start with, I'm subtracting to figure out how much money I have, how much spending money I have left. So I'm subtracting my wages minus my savings, or what I want to save, okay? So my wages is whatever I earn. My saving is my wages times 0.4 or 2/5, whatever you prefer. So that's a good problem because we're going to eventually talk about budgeting, and in budgeting there is a certain percent of money that you probably should be saving. So we're going to talk about that later, but this is a good introduction to something that you use expressions in everyday life. And this is a good example of that because I use this when I want to save money and I figure out how much spending money I have left to know what I can afford for that week or that month. So move on to the next step. Most likely you're going to be doing a practice, and then you finish that practice, you check in with me, you can move on to that checkpoint.